Exploring Blackwater legally with Arthur is super easy. When it comes to getting exclusive items or treasures in Blackwater, most players try to get in using weird methods to evade the law or the invisible sniper that always ends up killing you. On the other hand, the brilliant minds simply went hunting for any bounty and mounted it on their horse. The magic is that when you enter Blackwater with a bounty, it will deactivate the law and the invisible sniper, allowing you to explore the entire area as long as you keep any bounty on your horse. Unfortunately, this method does not work for New Austin, as they will put you a bullet in the head before you know it. Exploring Blackwater legally with Arthur is super easy.
Give us a break. An ex-Call of Duty creative director says $100 games are going to happen.
How is no one talking about the fact that Welcome to Derry is doing something no show has ever done, and it might be the best idea any show has had in years? Now, you probably know by now the first season of Welcome to Derry takes place 27 years before the events of the first movie, but what you probably didn't know is that every season of this show is actually going to take place 27 years earlier than the last, which means we're probably going to get to see how it ended up choosing Pennywise as his go-to form. I mean, we pretty much already got a tease of the third season in the first 10 minutes of the last episode, because all of that is actually taking place in 1906, which is also the year General Francis came across it in the form of a skinwalker. Now, you would think that going backwards every season is something that wouldn't make sense for any kind of series, but for a story like it that has so much lore to explore, I don't know, man, it's actually kind of perfect. Like, for example, the intro to the series is packed with a bunch of Easter eggs of what's happening in the next two seasons, such as the Bradley gang shooting and the Kitchener Ironworks fire, which takes place 27 years apart from each other. I mean, if you think about it, we already know how the story is gonna end, so instead of wondering what's gonna happen next, we get to ask the much scarier question, which is how the heck did it all even begin? How is no one talking about the fact that Welcome to Derry is doing something no show has ever done, and it might be the best idea any show has had in years? Now, you probably know by now the first...
These are games that died in 2025, starting with Shroud's game Spectre Divide, a tactical shooter that everybody played for about a week, mostly because of Shroud, but it didn't have anything worth sticking around for, so the studio shut down in March, just 6 months after release. Then there's Multiverses, the only game I've ever seen released twice, peak at over 100k players twice, and still managed to die twice, since the relaunch basically ruined the game for most of the player base. Kind of like how Dauntless went from being a pretty solid Monster Hunter knockoff to the developers turning it into a cash grab by locking some of the best game features behind microtransactions. But now Realm Royale and Divine Knockout both got shut down in February because Hi-Res Studios did what they do best, which is come out with a viral video game and then find a way to ruin it. Meanwhile, Resident Evil Reverse died back in June, and this one makes sense because they took the Resident Evil IP and turned it into a multiplayer arena shooter that honestly nobody asked for. Unlike Super Mega Champions, that was the coolest
we are going to do now back. Grizzly Bear has no competitors. Maybe a wolves wants to look at its kill, it postures up, the wolves run away. In India, sloth bear, which is a fraction of the size of a grizzly bear, has to contend with tigers, it has to contend with leopards, and it has to be a badass. If you're a sloth bear and you've got a tiger, have the attitude. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Sloth bears have that fight in the dog. Grizzly bear has no competitors. Maybe a pack of wolves wants to look at its kill, it postures up, the wolves run away. In India, sloth bear, which is a fraction of the size of a grizzly bear, has to contend with tigers, it has to contend with leopards, and it has to be a badass.
But I remember everyone talking.
The real complexity of Deadeye that 99% of players don't understand in RDR2. Although most players know that Deadeye makes you a god in shootouts, they don't really understand exactly how each level works. The level 1 allows you to automatically mark...
This is MTG server. This is cool.
There are 4 animals in the world that choose to hunt. That's it. We think there's hundreds. There aren't. There are tigers. There are They say there are 4 animals in the world that choose to hunt. That's it. We think there's hundreds. There aren't. There are tigers. There are leopards. There are crocodiles. There are polar bears. At the top of that list, polar bears. Nothing can stand up to a polar bear. Polar bears have a sense of smell that's 10,000 times greater than the best bloodhound dog. They have strength that's unparalleled. They can stand 14 feet tall. They have knives for hands. They can open a car like it's a can of tuna. They are unbelievable predators.
still around 91 degrees Fahrenheit. The result? Crawling inside a large animal's body might actually help you survive extreme cold. They say if you ever get trapped in freezing cold weather, you can survive by crawling inside a large animal's body for warmth. Sounds insane, right? But this was actually shown in the... Was Micah Bell a rat from the very beginning? When you visit Micah...
Alone forever. That's the line that men love to throw at women like it's some kind of...
What the hell?
Pennywise.